Today we got a bunch of drama surrounding the Roblox game Doors, and everyone's kind of angry at them right now. And before I break it down, please subscribe and let's get right into it. Alright, so firstly, just for some context if you aren't aware, Doors, as I'm sure you guys have heard, has been kind of slowing down. And for the past year, there hasn't been a major update. And that's because they were working on the next major update for a long time. And they kept saying, we're working on it. And the game did die a little bit, you know, because there wasn't much content. But it was just because everyone was waiting for this update. As you can see by their channel, it kind of sums everything up. I think the last major update was like the Hotel Plus update, which is over a year ago. And then the update that you just released, which is the one people have been waiting, you know, so long for, was also been teased for so long. As we can see, they gave a sneak peek 5 months ago, and then a teaser a month ago, and then the full trailer a month ago, you know? So in general, this major update has been hyped up and in the works for over a year, and fans have been waiting over a year for this, and it finally came out yesterday. And well, it didn't go that well, but I'll get to that in a second. In general, it's very hype, you know, people have been waiting for so long. The trailer got like 4 million views, which I think shows you how hype it is. And yeah, like I mentioned, it released yesterday. As we can see here, Floor 2 Doors, it finally released after over like a year of waiting, and it was pretty hype in the community. But right from the rollout to the actual launch, it was all kind of a big mess, and people already started hating them and hating on them like crazy. So already before anything, people were already mad at them because they're like, oh, it's taking you guys a whole year, no updates, hurry up and stuff like that. And people were just in general mad at the game and leaving the game because it's taking them so long to update. The game's kind of been, you know, deadish for a year and not as hyped for a year just because of this update, and you know, it hasn't been coming. Which I obviously understand why people are mad, you know, nothing major in like a year. But also, to be fair, I'm pretty sure Doors is like 2 people, like 2 devs, you know, who are still pretty young and figuring out life. So obviously, you know, with all the pressure and how much time this stuff takes, I don't blame them for taking this long. And it's better not to rush it, you know what I mean? So that hate I think was kind of dumb. But you know, with it being Roblox, people are always going to get mad. So besides that, the time finally came, right? Like yesterday it finally released. However, that also got some hate because Elsplash, you know, one of the developers behind it, tweeted us saying, the Floor 2 update will be releasing late evening EST time zone on the 30th. Pacific time will be given soon. Sorry for the trouble. We know it's inconvenient for a lot of you, especially outside the US, but we need the extra time to fix a few things. Stay tuned. So yeah, when the trailer came out, they announced it was coming out on August 30th. And a lot of people are super excited that August 30th, you know, the update will come out. But then they announced that it's basically going to come out at the end of August 30th, like late in the night, which obviously didn't work for a lot of people. And a lot of people would be asleep and stuff like that and they'd miss the launch. So already people got mad at them before the update even launched, saying, oh, you already made us wait a year and now you're giving us at like a super late time. So already off the bat, this update was kind of a mess rollout wise. I don't think the devs did anything too bad, and I respect them for, you know, standing their ground and taking as much time as they need. Because like I said, putting in something rushed is pretty bad. You might as well make it perfect. But here's the thing, none of this would have mattered if the update dropped and it was amazing, which unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So finally, it released. I think around like 6 PM EST, so not even that late. And Elsplash, the dev, once again tweeted us saying, check Roblox. And this was it. After over a year of waiting, the update was here. How was it? Well, not that good. Now, me personally, I haven't played it just yet. This is all just based off the drama stuff going on right now. And already off the bat, there's a few problems. Before we get into that though, this was pretty big. Even though they released it kind of a late night. As you can see here, it spiked up to almost 300,000 players, you know, right when it launched. And then it's been averaging like 100,000 consistently for these few days. So they've been doing good, you know. The game kind of dipped down, obviously, after not updating to like 10,000 players, you know, which still is good, but not for Doors. And now they spiked up to 300,000 and 100,000 constantly, which is good for them, you know. It's nice to see that the game is back. But also with that came problems. So firstly, one of the biggest problems was not even in the gameplay, it was just a big error. And for a majority of the update release, like for the first couple of hours, there's a big black screen error for some reason. And whenever people join the game or try playing the game in the new floor, they would get a black screen, which obviously made people mad once again, because they're like, I waited a year, I stayed up all night for this to get a black screen. You know, people were very upset and also just kind of annoyed that the game wouldn't work. And this was a general like issue a lot of people were having. And the dev responded to all this quickly, I think like an hour later, saying, really sorry about the stupid lobby blank screen bug. I have no idea that's why this is going on, especially since nothing really changed about the lobby, but I tried to put out a quick fix. If you join a private server, it should work smoothly. Now, I'm pretty sure private servers didn't really work properly at the time. The problem was getting a little bit better, but it was still pretty broken, so already kind of a mess. The rollout was, you know, a mess and people were hating on them. Then the game finally came out and people couldn't even play, so they're hating on them. How could it get worse from here? Well, it does. Because after like a day of people digesting it and giving it time to play the update fully, it didn't really live up to the hype, and a lot of people seemed very disappointed and angry at the devs just because it was very lackluster. There's so much viral tweets out there literally just saying that the update sucks. As you can see here, Doors Floor 2 is not good. I'm not surprised, really. And there's this clip on Twitter which almost has 10,000 likes of just someone saying that the game's dog crap and the Floor 2 is dog crap, you know? So there's a bunch of viral tweets of people hating on the game, saying the update sucks. If you go to the replies, a lot of people are saying the update sucks. You know, like, what went wrong? Well, from what I'm seeing, it's kind of two things. The first thing being it was kind of complicated and just tedious and annoying, and that it also took too long. A lot of people waited so long, and the update ended up being pretty annoying to actually play and took too long to play. And a lot of people didn't even want to replay it just because it took that long. As we can see here, people saying, it's well made, but holy crap, it feels way too long and tedious. I don't even want to play again after my first 3 times. So yeah, people are struggling to get into the game because of the whole black screen glitch, but then when they did eventually get in, it was super long and super tedious for them to do. And for less experienced players, a lot of people are complaining that it's actually too hard and that they couldn't even do it. So less experienced players waited so long for an update that they couldn't really play and enjoy properly because they just weren't good enough at the game. Which I know a lot of people are saying that's just like a skill issue, but to be fair, it should be digestible for every player, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, if players eventually did figure it out, it would just take so long that it wasn't even fun to play over and over again. And that was the two kind of biggest complaints. Bugs and glitches are obviously bound to happen, you know, no matter how much testing you do. Once it releases to thousands of players, something's bound to go wrong. So I don't blame them for the whole black screen glitch. The gameplay element though, that's obviously not a glitch or anything like that. That's like them putting it out there. And I guess there was like a misread because they didn't anticipate it being that hard or that tedious and long for people, you know what I mean? And in general, the update ended up being pretty hated. As we can see here, there's a bunch of dislikes coming in on the day and more, you know, way more dislikes than usual coming in of people just hating on the game because it was too hard. And in general in the community right now, everyone's kind of split because people still like the game and the developers, you know, they waited so long for this, but people are admitting that it just wasn't that good and wasn't that exciting after, you know, all the wait, all the hype, all the anticipation. And like I mentioned, the two biggest complaints are it was annoying, you couldn't figure out the room and stuff like that, and in general it's just like way too long. Now the devs did respond to all this, I'll get to that in a second, but KreekCraft here, you know, popular YouTuber, tweeted out a video, a whole 5-minute video talking about it, and he actually said like kind of the same things. He's kind of explaining that everything's so complicated and you have to be like super calculated, which, you know, doesn't really make it that fun. You know, you have to worry about so much elements and so much aspects, which makes it super hard, and then it ends up being super long. So if you spend so long finally figuring out one part and then you die, you have to spend all that time again getting it back, and it's super annoying doing it over and over again, you know what I mean? And KreekCraft was explaining that in this video as well, saying that all the elements, you know, using all the elements at once was kind of annoying. All like the different aspects of the thing was annoying. And in general, as you can see here, it's not just like haters and stuff like that hating on it. It's people in the community giving genuine feedback saying that it was kind of disappointing. Now obviously there's a bit of a difference. There's people actually hating on the devs and being super mean to them, which obviously isn't cool. And there's people like KreekCraft giving criticism. Big difference, but the general consensus for this is that it wasn't that good. And it wasn't worth the however long they made people wait for this, and it was just kind of, you know, boring. Mr. Busha, another public content creator, responded to this, kind of summing everything up, and I think he gave a pretty good point, so I'll read it out here. For me, most of the new area aren't even hard. They are just annoying. The figure room isn't hard, but you have to wait constantly for him to walk the opposite way. The sea chase is sick, but way too long. I'm also not a huge fan of the high changes because it's so much harder to avoid ambush now, especially with friends. So yeah, another complaint I didn't even think of just until now. Playing it by yourself is already probably going to be super annoying and hard, but then for the people who play in public lobbies or with their friends, it's going to be even more annoying and even harder, you know what I mean? So that's another layer to that. And it's probably another reason why people ended up being so mad. But there's more to this. Doors 150 hasn't been too much of a pain for me, but I can see how it can be. I do almost love everything else though. Giggles, Grumbles, and the Flies are super cool additions, and all the new items are so useful. Microfiles could use a bit of work, but I'm a fan of them too. Door 200 is also super fun. So yeah, from what I've seen, the build of it and the items and everything are super high quality. Like Doors did deliver on the quality, and they've been doing that for a while. That's what people expect. But on the gameplay side of things is where they didn't deliver. And as you guys can see here, content creators, players in general are criticizing it for being way too long, too hard, annoying, and stuff like that. And they're getting a lot of hate right now, as I showed you. Now with it all being said, both devs did obviously say something about this, and they gave actually a pretty good response. Elsplash here said, "We're cooking up some changes to everything and testing them out. We'll let you know when they're live. Thanks for all the feedback, but please remember, our development team are human beings. Sucks seeing people we looked up to actually being hostile against us." So yeah, I agree with this. Like I mentioned earlier, criticism is fine. You know, like KreekCraft, how he just gave criticism on the game saying, oh, this is what I liked, this is what I didn't like. That's obviously fine. constructive criticism obviously is going to help them, but people going out of their way to hate on them and make super mean tweets is kind of messed up in my opinion. But there has been a lot of that due to how disappointed people have been. And the Red Edibles was kind of joking around the whole time saying like it was awkward, but then jokes aside saying Floor 3 is going to be so much incredibly faster because of a big part of this update was working on our backend update model and legal stuff, meaning everything's set up for new updates to be developed much easier and faster. We pretty much rewrote the game from scratch. So yeah, that's good news for the future of Doors, and it seems like going forward everything's going to be quicker and faster for them to do, but they had to take a break in order for that to be possible. And then lastly, Elsplash had one more thing saying, "We hear you all, and thanks for the feedback. We'll be basically just toning everything down soon in Floor 2. So yeah, they're going to try making everything less annoying and less harder. I think we just got so used to everything after a while, which is fair. They're probably playing this over and over again for like a year, so to them it probably didn't seem as intense as for someone playing it for the first time, you know? Expect some changes soon this weekend. If you have any feedback, please reply here." So yeah, it seems like they're going to take like a week or so, or maybe this weekend, I don't really know what they meant, to fully fix everything, which is good. And I respect their response, you know? They realized people weren't happy about it, and they just gave a pretty simple response saying, "We messed up, you know, it wasn't that good, and we're going to try fixing everything," which is pretty good, you know? In general though, there's a lot of drama surrounding this update, and a lot of people hate on it, and it's pretty crazy to see. After all this anticipation, it ended up being kind of disappointing. But going forward, it seems like hopefully everything should be fine. In general, with that being said, let me know in the comments what you thought about this update, and I'll see you in the next one.